What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube and Rumble subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's Kush back at again with another New York Giants Just Chillin' podcast episode. My hair is alright. I'm sorry, that was annoying me. But what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Welcome in. It was a very, very eventful day in the NFL. Very eventful past couple of days, weeks since the last Just Chillin' episode. The NFL Combine came and went. What else happened? The franchise tag deadline came and went, and of course today there was the Russell Wilson trade. Aaron Rodgers re-signed, and Bobby Wagner was literally just released, I believe. But before we get into it, before I talk about any of that, I want to give a big shout out to everybody in here that was here early. You got Hilltop Merch. He's been in here for 30 minutes, he says. Thank you for waiting the 30 minutes, man. I appreciate that. Sober Party, Hirsch for Real, Edward Chan, and Namar, along with Mac the Giants fans. You guys were all in here early, man. What's up? How y'all doing? I got Mike Nixon back here as well, a member. I didn't get a chance to post the link to the member community notes because I just walked through the door. I was at school and then tutoring just literally all day. Hey, Cresley in here. I haven't seen you in a minute, man. Definitely haven't talked to you in a minute, so call in if you got the chance. Link is already posted and pinned. So, Levance, how you doing? Before I get Mike on here, I guess my thoughts on everything that went down. And guys, as you're coming in, make sure you hit that like button and share it out. Yep, thank you, Hilltop. He just said it, man. So I guess let's start with the NFL Combine. You see Travon Walker off to the side right here, along with Russell Wilson in a Denver uniform. But let's talk about the Combine, right? The Combine was entertaining. Luann, how you doing? The Combine definitely was made into more of a TV spectacle this year, and it affected the players. And I just want to say the NFL needs to stop trying to monetize anything and everything. I mean, a lot of us already have a problem with how many ads they show during a game or commercials that they show during a game and during any type of NFL live event. It's a ridiculous amount. I might Levance. And then you got the Combine, which I was surprised because on day one I missed a couple of drills. I had to go and rewatch it. I missed a couple of the drills because they changed the times they did it. It was all the drills were at 4 o'clock now or start at 4, where in previous years it was around midday time. The reason they shifted it to 4 was, once again, because they're trying to sell it as a TV product. And this, amongst other things, I think did affect the Combine, because I think it was the running back group. There was the entire running back group that opted out of running their 40-yard dash because the new schedule kind of just didn't work well with them or something along those lines. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And if you do, if I'm choosing the wrong group, I can't remember which group it was, let me know. But there was an entire group of position players that sat out. So I'll say that. Hazelnut, what's up, man? How you doing? Eric, the Jaguars news? I thought the Jaguars franchise tag Cam Robinson. Wouldn't that mean, we'll get into it. We'll definitely get into that. Wouldn't that mean that it's less of a chance Aquanu goes to you guys? We'll definitely see, Eric. We'll definitely get into that. But I just want to put that out there. I kind of want them to stop trying to monetizing everything and stop trying to make money off everything NFL. Sometimes it really does affect the players and at the end of the day, the actual product that you're trying to sell, right? And then now let's talk about the actual Combine. I think the positions that just kind of blew it out the water without a doubt was the defensive tackle group, right? I mean, I feel like we could all agree. The defensive tackle group, first of all, I think all of them ran a sub-5 40-yard dash, which, to preface this, I'll say 40-yard dashes do not matter for the offensive line and defensive line. It's the 10-yard split, but it's still incredible to see the athleticism of these guys over that 40-yard stretch, right? It was crazy. Of course, Jordan Davis was blowing up on Twitter because I think he had, what was it, a 4.7 or 4.8 or something crazy like that. Oh, Eric, my bad, bro. Listen, I connected Jaguars to what you were saying. Okay, that makes sense. That was going crazy, just everybody. But of course, Jordan Davis is like a 350-pound man running that fast. And, people were saying you could even put him out there at running back because I think he ran faster than some running backs. Oh, I think it was a 4.5 then, actually, was it? I don't know. One of y'all going to correct me on that. But the defensive tackle group stood out. The offensive line definitely stood out. Akeem Ekwonu, the guy we were just talking about right here, had a really, really good showing at the Combine, along with Charles Cross, who wasn't even talked about that much. But Akeem coming into the combine, he was already having good stock. His performance at it, combined with the fact that Evan Neal didn't perform, led to a lot of people saying that he's a potential pick for number 1 overall to Jacksonville. Right? Obviously, today the Jaguars just franchise tag Cam Robinson. I feel like a logical thing or a logical conclusion to draw from that is that they're not going to go offensive tackle number 1 overall. They still could, but it would be more logical for them to get that guy in Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon or, out of the two, whoever they prefer as a number 1 overall pick. Meaning that that's one more spot, like Eric Champion was saying, that, Akeem potentially falls to us. I'm still going to say that I feel like Evan Neal is a lot of these teams' number 1 guy, like number 1 offensive tackle on the board. Because this kind of leads into another thing I want to say. The combine, by fans at least, is definitely a little bit overrated or a little bit overhyped. And I said it in my video today. It doesn't really have that much of an effect on where players go, or at least to the extent that people think that it has. And in that video, I used 2 examples that, in my opinion, are always used as, the combine made these guys' stock rise, and the combine was a reason they went from going to some sort of unknown to going higher than they should have gone, or at least at the time, right? Josh Allen in 2018, I feel like people have short-term memory loss or something, but a lot of fans say the combine is what put him on the map, and it was the combine that really pushed him to being picked as, I think it was either a top 10 or top 15 pick. I forgot where Buffalo traded up to get him. That's false. Simple Google search. There was NFL mocks having this man going number 1 and number 2 overall before the combine. Tristan Wirfs, I'll definitely say this. He got more notice. I guess he got more media time. Fans were talking about him more after the combine. But he still ended up being the 4th tackle taken off the board. For the most part, at least with that tackle class, it kind of went in the order that people had them ranked, is what I'll say. And I can't really think of any player that was really kind of pushed forward because of their combine performance. I look at the combine and I say to myself, these teams have been scouting these players all year long. They already have their rankings of them, so to speak. They already have their report on them, so to speak. The combine is just a way to either solidify that or make very small changes. I don't think year in, year out, scouts go to it and they make big changes to their big board and big changes to who they want to take based off of a performance at the combine. I don't think that happens. So I just want to put that out there as well. And now, finally, yes, about 8 minutes into the stream, I'm going to get the first caller on. It is Mike Nixon. It is a member. Logan, what's up, man? How you doing, guys? Make sure that you go over there and check out Logan's channel. And then, of course, the link is in there for anybody that wants to get it. Jesus Martinez, no, Jesus. I said Jesus. How you doing, man? What is the price of your blind eye? I believe the guy said it was $10,000 a month. But Mike, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, Pub?
I'm good, man.
Oh, man. Huge day in the NFL world.
Mm-hmm. The era is over in Seattle, man. The last piece of the Legion of Boom is gone the same day that Russell Wilson was traded. It's kind of crazy.
I'm just gonna say this. If we can cut to make up the 40 mil that Joe Shane wants, I might be off for giving Bobby Wagner a cheap.
Bro, no question. You don't even got to finish that sentence.
Hold on.
No question I'm throwing some type of deal at him if we can.
I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
My mic was acting all weird.
It's all right.
So what did you say?
No, I was just like, no question if we can. I'm throwing some type of deal at him.
Yeah, like a 2-year deal worth like 10 mil. Because that Bobby Wagner can make our defense really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he fits Martindale's system.
The thing with Wagner is that, and with players of his level, I would say even if they don't necessarily quote unquote fit, he's like the best or one of the best at his position, so he's gonna make it fit.
Yeah. But like you're talking like he's a very good blitzer.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess right now the NFC is the Packers to lose.
Or the 49ers. Listen, we've seen this Green Bay Packers team choke
Yeah,
countless times in the
yeah.
playoffs. And let's not forget, Mike, I feel like there's big things coming to that defense in terms of change because both of their edge rushers could be gone this offseason. Like, is it not that both Smiths are free agents?
I think one of them is.
Mm-hmm.
The other, I'm not too sure about.
Speaking of middle linebackers, maybe they make a play at Bobby because they have to re-sign their guy that had a great year this year.
Who? Oh. You're talking about DeAndre Campbell, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I think he was it a an all-pro team that he made, or I just
Yeah,
know that he had a really
yeah.
good year.
He definitely made the All-Pro team.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he either made first or second team, but I'm pretty sure that it was the first team.
So I mean,
So
I just think that Packers defense, and we got to see what the Aaron Rodgers contract actually comes out to be because we saw the Adam Schefter tweet that said it was 4 years, $200 million, which is insane amount of money. But then Rodgers himself came out and said that that's not the deal. It's supposed to be more cap friendly. So we'll see how cap friendly it is because they have a couple guys that they need to bring back on that defense.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
For sure. But I mean, for the 49ers, it's all unknown right now because of them wanting to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Is Trey Lance the guy? Is he ready?
That's a
We
great
just
question.
don't know.
Because this kind of relates to the Giants just a little bit because of NFC East, right? I feel like one of the biggest suitors to Jimmy G is going to be the Washington Commanders. They tried to get Russell Wilson and that failed. And they are looking, I don't think it's been a secret that they are sort of looking, if not aggressively, then passively at least, for an upgrade. I actually don't think it's that much of an upgrade, but Jimmy G does win games. So they're definitely somebody to look at in terms of trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. Forget about Trey Lance for a second, Mike. I'm thinking about Jordan Love right now, bro. That man, that's got to be one of the worst picks in recent memory because it's just he's not being used.
And it ain't even his fault.
It's not even his fault. But in addition to that, it's like the little times we did see him, I come away saying he looks bad.
Yeah, he does. He definitely looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Giant fans like, why don't we pick him up?
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally not sure about him.
I mean, if you want to talk about the Giants fans and quarterbacks right now, we're being talked about for Mitch Trubisky. Literally, as soon as I say that, Ramon Gonzalez brings it up. He says, I'm confused about reports that the New York Giants are going to sign Trubisky and will be able to compete with Jones for a starting position. But I also heard that Trubisky's going to get $10 million a year. Can the Giants afford that? So in terms of can they afford that, one of the reasons I don't want to sign anybody that could like legitimately take the job away from Daniel Jones, or a couple of reasons, is because one, for signing somebody that's going to end up being a backup to him, how about their contract be cheaper than what Daniel's earning right now, right?
Yeah.
And two, I'm really a big fan of the two birds, one stone thing, which is just, throw him out there into the fire. If he has something in him, we'll see. If he doesn't, then guess what? We're going to be, I guess you could say, unofficially tanking for our next quarterback, which a lot of Giants fans don't want to hear. But hey, how you going to get that next QB? It's going to be through the draft, in my opinion. I don't really see us trading or signing for anybody like that.
And
yeah, go ahead.
About next year's class, even if we don't get the top two quarterbacks, me personally, I've been watching this guy from Miami named Van Dyke. Mrs. brought him up in his channel, and I think he pretty damn good. But I wanna make sure that we get a quarterback next year. So like I am very pressing that we should trade, whether it be 5, whether it be 7, trade back in the draft.
Yeah.
And whoever falls there falls there.
I agree with you, and I see a couple people talk about it right now about who they would take at 5 and 7. I feel like the best thing would be somehow get a starting tackle and somehow get an edge rusher, like a starting edge rusher to be next to
Mhm.
Aziz. If that's not the case, best player available and trade back. I think that would be the way to go.
Because it will assure us that we can get a quarterback next year by getting a first rounder next year.
Mm-hmm.
Just similar to like what the Bears did with us this year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and I'll say this: quarterback classes can change so much in just one year. We look at where we
Mm,
were last year to this year, but I'll say that the 2023 class is already off to a better start than it was to
yeah.
than the 2022 class in terms of just, I guess you could say, how strong it is, right? But we'll see when we get there.
Hmm. Definitely. I
But
just
oh yeah, I was
can't
about to
wait.
say. Well, go ahead. What else you got?
I just can't wait for the draft and for free agency next year.
Before Before we get to that, I want to answer Eric's question or just his statement, right? He says, and I want to hear your thoughts on it too, Mike. He
All
says,
right.
I get how bad we need edge, but with Wink's defense, I think cornerback is a little more important considering we can simulate pressure. We can't simulate coverage, in my opinion. You're right. In the NFL, it is very true that you could simulate pressure, and a lot of teams have done it. You can't simulate coverage. That's definitely very true. Pass rush could help out your coverage, but you're going to get beat at some point. Where I will disagree is that the defense we're rolling into this year with is right now is very, very similar to the defense we rolled into last year with. And that was a
Mm-hmm.
defense that was supposed to be able to simulate pressure, which, well, did it really
Well,
simulate pressure, Mike?
no,
And
no.
I know it's going to be a different system, so I hope that that different system for sure makes that big of a change, but it's definitely a lot of the same personnel right now.
Hmm.
But
I
I get
mean,
what Eric's saying. That's why I said I
yeah.
would be down for BPA
I
and then
mean,
trade down because yeah.
especially if we cut Bradbury,
Yeah, because I
we
was gonna say
still.
because BPA and trade down could very well mean Sauce Gardner or one of those picks, and then
Hmm.
at trade down we get out of one of the linebackers, we get Linderbaum, if you want to take a chance on Trevor Penning or that trade down
Yeah.
scenario is very very tempting.
Hmm. There's definitely a lot of ways we can go in the draft,
Mm-hmm.
but I just hope that Joe Shane and Dable don't fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I I want to get to the wide receiver class
Okay.
because our boy really showed out. Christian Watson.
Yeah. Hey,
That
Christian
that
Watson. There was people talking.
that dude may sneak into the first round.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, listen, and this goes back to the point I made earlier, right? Sometimes we put a little too much hype into the combine, right? Christian
Yeah.
Watson is a great receiver. And like you said, he's our boy. Because like after I
Hmm.
saw him in that Giants Life episode, I looked into him. I really started to like him. I don't know about first round. It's a good wide
I
receiver
know.
class. Like it's a really good wide receiver class. I don't know about first round, man.
Mm, I feel that. And me personally, I would wait until if we go receiver, I'm rather wait till the second round to see who falls
Mm-hmm.
because I know I have been pressing this, but Jahan Dotson may fall into the second round. I just have a feeling, and honestly, if he's there with our pick, me personally, I think of that as a steal
Mm-hmm. So I mean,
because
I guess what that brings me to ask you is, when you're taking the wide receiver in the second round, are you doing it because do you view it as such a big need that you would move it up to take somebody in the second round with it, or do you just view it as I really like this prospect, I think we should take him?
A little bit of both. Because I also heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I heard somewhere that if we cut Galladay post June 1st, we can actually like save money.
I'm gonna have to look into that because everything I've seen is that no matter what you cut Galladay this year, it's gonna be losing money because that's the way the contract is structured.
Hmm.
You could get out of it next year. I'm gonna have to look into that, or if somebody has, can look into it right now. But I don't know about that one, Chief.
Yeah, but
So,
anyway,
Mike, but before you go, I will ask you, right? Since you said it was a little bit of both, you're taking him in the second round, right? And you said it's a little bit of both. So one of the questions was you're moving him up above other positions. What are those other positions that you'd be moving him up above that you could potentially get in the second?
I don't like corner, like edge, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
just because I feel this edge class is very strong and we can get one in the third. And even linebacker too.
Mm-hmm.
The linebacker class is so good.
And I agree with you. The more I've been looking at it, like you guys know, I love my top two guys in Hutchinson and Thibodeau, and obviously I've been pushing the George Karlaftis like agenda for a while now. But I've been looking into it, man, and I'm really starting to like. Even though he's been having a rough week, Maya J. Sanders out of Cincinnati, somebody I think we could get
Yeah,
in the second round. He's been having a rough week though. I think he had some type of sickness or illness. Like
yeah,
he lost
that
like
made
20 pounds.
him
It was
lose.
crazy.
Yeah,
Like, and people were
dude,
saying, oh, sometimes they cut weight for the combine. No, you don't cut 20 pounds in like a
yeah,
couple of weeks. That's
not
unhealthy. So he was facing something.
yeah. He's practically like a receiver at that rate,
Hmm.
or tight end, a smaller tight end.
So I definitely just hope that dude, like, whatever he was facing, he recovers from it within the next month because we're about a month and a half away from the draft and he gets
Hmm.
back to form because I would have loved to taken him in the second round if the Giants don't go edge in the first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, Mike, hey,
but
thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate it, bro. And happy belated
no,
birthday. Guys, Mike
thank
is
you.
now officially a senior citizen, guys.
Yep, I'm officially 30 years old. All downhill from here.
Mm-hmm. It's all downhill, man.
Yep.
Except for the discounts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Early bird specials.
Exactly, bro.
But
Mike, I'll catch you later, bro.
all right, I'll be talking to you on Discord and stuff.
And in the chat, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Before I pop CJ on here, I see you, bro. I just want to quickly read out a couple of these comments here. Let's see. Ramon says, I heard Shane say that he will draft best available. So if Neal and Ekwonu are gone, do I go with Cross or do I go with best available on defense? So are you asking me I guess I'll answer two questions. If you're asking me specifically, I am a guy that believes in Charles Cross a lot. There's not a lot of Charles Cross fans out there right now for some reason. I really think that he's going to be a good tackle at the NFL level. I think that he could definitely be a starting and a really good starting right tackle for the Giants. I'd probably go him. If I wouldn't mind going best defensive player available, which just might be best player available overall at that pick. So let's say that Neal and Ekwonu are gone, and that like the other two picks are the edges. Kyle Hamilton is there. Joe Shane would probably go him if he's going BPA. I probably wouldn't, but I definitely go with Sauce Gardner. I definitely go with Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean. I'd say that. Hilltop says if Neal and Ekwonu are both are there at 5, should we try to take both at 5 and 7? Yes, because I think Carolina's taking a QB. I'm really becoming more and more convinced that Carolina's going to take a QB. So if Neal and Ekwonu are there at 5, I feel like there's a chance that we could get both. So we'll see. Let's see. Hirsch says trade down only if you're getting back a first in 2023. I would hope so because that's we got a first back in for this year's draft when we traded down last year. I'm gonna quickly scroll over a couple here. Here's the nut says about a spark. Get the grab the punter or kicker out of San Diego State in the 5th. I don't know about drafting a punter or kicker, man. Then we just sign somebody. Hopefully he pans out. I guess that's what I'll say about it. And let me get CJ on here, bro. CJ, how you doing?
How is that every time I check? How is that every few hours I check my phone to see what's going on Twitter? My entire timeline gets blown up. 12 o'clock this afternoon, I get word that Aaron Rodgers is re-signing with the Packers. I'm like, okay. Probably the only big news
Based off the past couple of days, it seemed like it was gonna go that way.
Yeah, which is kind of like how I felt initially. Listen, God bless Aaron Rodgers for getting all that money, but in my opinion, listen, am I paying you $200 million to win a bunch of divisional titles, or do I want to compete for Super Bowls?
Well, according to the man himself, Aaron Rodgers, that's not the contract. Adam, what's up, bro? Hit that link, Adam. But yes. We'll see what the actual contract is.
Yeah, and then as soon as I get off my lunch break, I'm getting ready to leave. I figure, you know what? Let me check out what's going on Twitter today. See what's happening. Ian Rappaport just reported that Russell Wilson got traded. I'm like, this has got to be a typo.
Mm-hmm.
No. Considering you and I are both diehard NBA fans, 5 years ago, we would have said it is literally impossible to compete in the Western Conference with a mediocre or bad point guard.
Mm-hmm.
You had, at the time, Steph, Westbrook, Conley, Chris Paul. You had all these future Hall of Fame caliber point guards just in the Western Conference alone. The worst guard probably in that time spring was De'Aaron Fox, who's like an all-star caliber player.
Well, De'Aaron was young.
Yeah. Now you look over on the AFC side, you got Burrow, Lamar, Herbert, Mahomes,
Yeah,
Allen.
no, the AFC is ridiculous with quarterbacks right now.
I'm like, good Lord, is like, we all thought 2 years ago that it was you were not going to get better than Breeze, Matt Ryan, and Brady in the same division. Now we got Mahomes, Herbert, and Russell Wilson on in the same division.
Just a few years ago, I'd say 3 or 4. The thought was that the NFC was the better conference because of the fact that they had better quarterbacks, and it's really flipped in these past couple of years.
Well, just in the last 3 years, like, forget Mahomes for a second. Allen breaks out. Lamar wins MVP. Burrow is an MVP caliber quarterback, and then you got one of the most ridiculously talented quarterbacks I've seen in my lifetime in Justin Herbert. The AFC overall is going to be nothing.
Just the AFC West is crazy right now. The AFC West, I feel like,
is the worst quarterback in that division.
It automatically became one of the best, if not the best, division in football because of the fact that Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in the division, and he's a really good quarterback.
Patrick Graham, I am so sorry, man. You have listen. I know you did a good job against Mahomes last year, and
nah, bro. He has to face Mahomes twice. He has to face Herbert twice, and he has to face Wilson twice. Graham, you got your work cut out for you, bro.
No, that cover 3.
That soft zone defense.
Zone crap is not gonna.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Oh my!
He's gonna have to live up to the nickname that the players got him. At least in his time here, the Giants defensive players called him the computer. So he's gonna have to live up to that.
Yeah, man. And look, man, it's Seattle. In my lifetime as a football fan, other than New England, they were the first team that I legitimately thought was going to be a dynasty. Like, Pete Carroll at the time was a top
and man,
two,
that really failed, bro. They made one more Super Bowl and they lost, and that was it.
Now Russell Wilson is gone. Bobby Wagner just got released. I think I just found the team that's gonna have the number 1 pick in the draft next year.
I don't know about that because I would definitely
Well,
think
assuming they
Seattle.
don't trade up for a quarterback this
No,
year,
I,
which I'm
yeah, I
assuming.
think they're gonna. It would make sense for them. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for them not to, right? Because you trade with Denver, you're already sitting at 9. There's already a good chance somebody just falls into your lap.
Couldn't, you know? I mean, could care. I mean, are we still going with the mindset that Carolina takes a quarterback? Who's to say they don't take who Seattle wants?
Well, it would depend who Seattle wants, right? Because everything out of
Well, we don't know.
Carolina, and then like people that are Carolina fans is pointing towards Kenny Pickett. So if Seattle wants Kenny Pickett, then I guess that's their guy is gone. But Malik Willis, I feel, is a good shot
Yeah,
that he drops to 9.
yeah, but don't you think? And I know he's just the OC there. He's not their. He's not their the head coach. Don't you think McAdoo will do such a wondrous job with Malik Willis? I mean, he was one of the first guys to discover Mahomes and Allen in the same
McAdoo is
facility.
in Seattle.
No, I'm talking about in Carolina.
Oh.
He's the
Well,
OC
hey,
for
hey, like I
Carolina.
said, like I said, man, everything out of that camp is saying Pickett. That could be a smokescreen. In terms of doing good with a quarterback, I can't comment on it because in his 2 years as head coach, he had Eli Manning, so we haven't seen him really work with a young quarterback. Having an eye for
That's
talent
fair.
doesn't necessarily mean you could develop that talent.
That's fair. That's
And
fair.
and then Eric, I'm with you, and I feel like CJ is with you as well. The reason this trade down scenario is looking like the best thing right now is because both number 5 and 7 became so much more valuable because of the fact that Seattle has that number 9 pick. Like, if they want to trade up with somebody, Joe Shane, bro, answer the phone. Seattle might be calling.
Yes, and don't get me wrong. I am a proponent for trading down as much as anybody. But that's only if my worst fear comes to fruition. If both tackles and both edge rushers are gone, because I have flipped my tune that initially I was more of a cross guy, as my number 2 tackle.
But actually, CJ, before you say that, because of just
Go
Charles Cross, I don't know if hate is the right word, but people just kind of, I feel like, sleeping on him. Just give your thoughts on him as of right now.
I just think, first of all, he's a dynamic. He's a dynamic athlete. Great hand, so good with his footwork.
Amazing in pass protection.
Initially, when I saw him, I kind of looked at him as like a poor man's Ryan Ramczyk. But now, the more and more I study him, I kind of see he's a less powerful version of Cedric Willis for Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best in terms as far as a run blocker, but he's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
He's damn sure good enough as a run blocker, and his pass protection says,
bro, let's call a spade a spade. He's good enough, more than good enough to be a starting right tackle.
Oh, more than like I hear it all the time. How, do you really want to toy with the fact that he was a left tackle in college? It's not going to be as easy as moving him over to the right side. Outside of Tristan Wirfs, all of the best right tackles in football played left tackle in college.
Thank you for bringing that point up, because and I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to you and to KB as well. He brought this point up last week on the Young Guns. He's like, most tackles that get drafted are left tackles because they were playing the best spot, like they were the best linemen on their team, and a lot of those guys shift to the right side or shift inside at guard at the NFL level.
To me, it's more difficult moving from being a right tackle to a left tackle, or if you were, say, a left tackle for the majority of your career.
Exactly, yeah, for a while.
To the right side. Like what we tried to do with Soda. I'm like, no, that is not going to work. He's played left tackle since his second year in New England. You're then going to ask him to move over to the right side where he hasn't played that in years. No, it is much, I don't want to say easier, but it's much more smoother to draft a tackle who was primarily a left tackle in college and then move him over to the right side. Orlando Brown was a left tackle in college, was an all-pro with Baltimore as a right tackle. Freaking my God, the kid in not Cincinnati. Oh my God, why am I believing Ryan Ranchek was a left tackle in college.
Bro,
Moved
just use
over
a recent example in Tristan Wirfs.
Tristan, yeah, the only guy that was primarily a right tackle in college and right tackle in the NFL is Tristan Wirfs. Cross is more than capable enough of moving over to the right side if need be. Remember, we almost moved Andrew Thomas to right tackle when we
Yeah, and
initially
thank
drafted
God we
him,
did
and
not,
he was a left
man.
tackle in
Yeah, and
college.
thank God that we didn't.
Yes. And so I'm really not all that concerned about moving any of these tackles to right tackle. It's just that I gotta call it for what it is. Akeem Aquanu is an offensive tackle's wet dream.
Nah, he's mine, bro.
This kid, if he puts it all together, I know this is a high bar. He's Tyrod Smith 2.0.
Listen,
Long arms.
I'm just glad that more and more people are hopping on the train, because I felt like he should have been tackle one from the moment I laid my eyes on him. I'm sad because it's looking less and less likely the guy's gonna be a giant. But yeah,
Jess, listen to the words coming out of my mouth. You don't need a tackle. You don't need a tackle. You got two good ones. You got Fant. You got Becton. You re-sign Morgan Moses for insurance. You don't need a tackle. You need interior offensive line help. You do not need to draft Aquanu. Plug him in at guard for it.
I will say though, if he moves in at guard, I do think it will be. This is gonna sound weird because I feel like it would be a little bit of a waste of talent, because I really feel like he could be one of the best tackles in the NFL. But at the same time, he will succeed at guard. So that's why I'm like, it's a weird take. Yeah,
he did. He definitely will. I said, as a guard, he reminds me a lot of Zach Martin. Like, just overpowered, just super overpowering. The long arms, the straight veracity in his play style. Good Lord, I could go on and on about Aquanu. But again, as a tackle, other than some polishness, what is he really missing? Almost nothing. So again, I flip my tune as far as the tackles go. It's Neil, Aquanu, and then Cross for me. But I just get this strange feeling that the only way that I'm willing to trade down is if both tackles and both edge rushers are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And now I would be fine taking Cross at 5 if need be, but I don't think that's where we're likely to go, especially when you have Hamilton on the board. You got Sauce Gardner and Stingley on the board. You got both linebackers that I love. And you still have about one or two edge rushers that are definitely worth going at 10, whether it's Ajabo Johnson or your guy Carl Office.
Mm-hmm. And then before I pop Adam in here, I want to ask you how you feel about the guy on the board right now, Travon Walker. While our boy Akeem Aquanu had an amazing combine, I feel like the guy that stood out the most from the edge group was probably Travon Walker.
I like Travon Walker. I like him a lot. It's funny how I'm always comparing edge rushers to former Giants, but initially when I first started scouting him, kind of reminds me of a little version of Jason Pierre-Paul.
Why? What about him?
The long arms, still very raw as far as his technique goes. But man, as an interior edge rusher, great again. I don't think,
you know what that description reminds me of though. That description doesn't remind me of JPP. That description sounds like Justin Tuck.
That's another good comp. I just feel as though the one thing from Travon Walker that I'm missing with him is the explosiveness. Like, he's dominant. He's good with his hands, but he's not one of these edge rushers. I don't even like to count him as an edge rusher. I look at him more as an interior guy, more in that like Calais Campbell type of prototype. But again, I like him a lot. As an edge rusher, honestly, he's probably my fourth guy. But as
Ooh,
an
really?
interior,
I have him as like my sixth guy as an edge rusher.
yeah, that's about right. But I will only lean towards Walker if it's like for a massive trade down scenario.
Yeah, so let me
Like,
quickly speak on it, right? Because Hazelnut says I'm down with JPP, yeah, but I wouldn't compare him to JPP, and CJ is not even saying that he is JPP. He's just saying that's a guy that he kind of reminds him of. Now, and I don't want to seem like a Trayvon Walker hater, but because I've been kind of I guess pushing back against a lot of the hype he's been getting since the combine, it looks that way, but that's what it is. He's been getting hype and overrated since the NFL Combine, in my opinion, to the point where people have even said that he's better than Kayvon Thibodeau. You don't believe me, bro? People have said that online on Twitter, and even on live TV on the NFL Network, Peter Schrager was like, "I'm getting texts saying that he's better than Thibodeau." I'm like, "No, you're not, bro. Stop the cap, bro. Stop." How much did his agent pay you to say that? Let me know. Was it 10 grand, 20 grand?
it had to
But
be.
But no, listen, he's been getting overhyped for sure. Because he's super developmental. Not even the way that David Ojabo is developmental. David Ojabo is my edge 4, right? But David Ojabo not only has a little bit more production to back his game up, but he has a little bit more moves.
I at 4, but just I think you and I have different number 3s.
Yeah.
I got Johnson at 3.
So David also has a bit more moves to his game, and I feel like his ceiling is way higher than Trayvon Walker. Like exponentially way higher. Jermaine Johnson, who's been on just an extreme hype train since the end of the college football season, same thing. He's even more put together than Ojabo. A little bit of a lower ceiling, not by much, but better than what I've seen from Walker. I agree with you. I don't know if Trayvon Walker is a true edge rusher, and because of the athleticism that he showed, and that's what got people hyped, they believe that he's going to be a good fit in this system, at least Giants fans, when I say they, because, he performed well in the field drills and he was fast, but I'm like, he performed well in the field drills and he was fast, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be doing that in an NFL game. Like when you go and you watch him play, I'll be honest with you, it just looks like he's running around a lot.
Yeah.
Developmental isn't even a strong enough word. And I'm tired of drafting developmental guys. We did it with Lorenzo Carter, another Georgia Bulldog. It did not work out to this point. We did it with O'Shane Zimenez, and we did it last year with Azeez Ojulari, except Azeez Ojulari was the best edge rushing linebacker out of Georgia in years, and he still is. And I tweeted this out last night. I said, Azeez Ojulari is better than Trayvon Walker coming out of college, and right now, without question, he's way, way better than Trayvon Walker right now. So if I'm adding an edge, I'd rather add somebody that's either on Aziz's level or is better than him. And that's with the top 3 guys in this class.
Yeah. And I just feel Walker still needs a lot more polishness to his game. When I was first doing my cutout for my mock draft about a week ago, I initially had him going to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like with him,
now I think Baltimore is going to go with either Devontae Wyatt or Jordan Davis.
Yeah, but don't they already have like a big nose stuffing defensive tackle?
Take it from a guy that speaks with Baltimore fans and with Engraven. They're definitely looking for an interior guy.
Okay, all right. But before I go, because I know you have other guests coming on, you've seen the Batman.
Yeah.
At this point, right? Okay. Rank the top 4 between Bale, Pattinson, Bale, and Affleck.
Okay, so the modern day Batman, right?
Yeah.
Affleck number 1.
Yes.
Bale number 2. Pattinson number 3. Right? Okay. But the thing with Bale and Pattinson is that one, right now, Bale, I think, definitively stands over him because we actually got to see his Bruce Wayne. In a future movie, when we do get to see more of Bruce Wayne for Pattinson, I guess I'll have a little bit more to judge from it. That's not to say out of those 3 that any of them were bad Batmen. I think all of them were really good.
Okay. And then Dark Knight, the Batman Begins. That's probably my top 3.
I mean, with those 3, I'd leave them as you listed them. with those three.
Same with
Yeah.
with the Batman, and don't worry, I'm not going to get any deep spoilers into it, but the Batman is it was everything that I wanted it to be. It was
really good.
It was the perfect examination of a true detective thriller.
Yeah,
It was
I agree with that.
it was almost like rewatching a Saw movie.
I completely agree
first
with that. And I will say it was the only one that gave us the world's greatest detective in the sense that he was actually doing a lot of detective work. He wasn't the world's greatest detective yet, because in the end well, actually, if I say more, it will be spoiling the movie, so I'll leave it at that. But also people that didn't like it just didn't know what they were going into, which I'm just like, how do you not watch a trailer or something before you go watch it? Because like the critiques that people gave, and sometimes I spoke to them, I'm like, all right, well, what did you expect entering the movie? I'm like, oh, so you didn't even watch a trailer before you went in, because they're going in expecting something like Christian Bale or like BVS, where it's a good amount of action and martial arts, and it's like, nah, they were very clear with what kind of movie this was gonna be.
No,
But
this
CJ,
was 7 Zodiac.
exactly. But hey, man, thank you for calling in, bro. Have a good one.
You too. Be good, Kush.
And we got Adam in here, bro. Adam, what's up? How you doing, man?
How are you, man? How you doing?
I'm good. What's up, bro? Real quick, shout out to Joseph in here, Kayla, and I think I already gave a shout out to this whole party. Manny, what's up, man? How you doing? The first question they're asking, Wagner to the Giants, bro. If we clear up some cap space, I'll definitely throw a flyer out at him. I'm sorry. Listen, Adam, bro. If we clear up cap space and Bobby Wagner ends up being the only guy we sign, I'm happy.
look, listen, everybody that gets cut, can the Giants get him? AJ Klein from the Bills just got cut, and everyone's like, hey, maybe we'll get AJ Klein. I mean, Bobby Wagner. Listen, I wouldn't mind Bobby Wagner, but the problem is, at what point do why are we going to give money to an older player? Like, I love Bobby Wagner, but let him go to a team where he can win, right? We're still rebuilding,
I think he's going to Baltimore.
Oh, that would be a perfect fit, and they are a good team. They would need him, and I could see them pairing him up and being exactly what they need, right? But for the Giants, I just can't get everybody, and I don't want these older veterans that aren't going to be here in the future. You know what I'm saying? Just because it's Bobby Wagner, ooh, yay, great. No, if you can't get anybody there, try to draft somebody. Or keep Martinez in some capacity and let him roll. He wasn't a bad linebacker. People just, it's Blake Martinez. So he's not the glamorous linebacker. I get it. But he was functional, and he can do what you need to do. Now, for me, I watched the Combine this weekend, and I just was like, wowed at impressed with a lot of these players, because I feel like you can get players all throughout this draft. The Giants don't need
at multiple positions.
Right. They don't need to be needy if they don't want to. Now, to address CJ's point about Travon Walker, I like Walker. I don't love Walker. I love Thibodeau. I love Johnson. Those are two guys that the Giants can get their hands on, I think are perfect. Walker scares me because I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know.
Bro, like I was saying, Adam, I'm assuming you at least watched some tape on him, because that's just right. like I know you. That's how you be talking. And I said the same thing to you. What I said to CJ. It felt like I was just watching him run around on the field a lot of times when I was looking at him.
You don't see many moves. He plays inside, so what does that mean? He's going up against the athletes that are the weakest, and the guards aren't the greatest athletes, and he got most of the sacks towards the end of the year, right? So my question is, yeah, sure, he can drop back, but like you said with Lorenzo Carter, are we going to be drafting a guy hoping that he has potential, hoping that he does the things that we want? Because I'm not risking a top 10 pick on a hope. I need a guy that's going to come in, already have a skill set to work with, and I can grow as a player.
And I got to ask you, why is it that we want to do it again when we did it last year and it worked out? And the guy that it worked out with, and Azeez Ojulari, in my opinion, hasn't even come close to hitting his ceiling. So we have that developmental guy there. Let's take somebody that's a little less developmental.
Well, you also have Ellerson Smith here that you also wanted to draft and develop, right? Not that Ellerson Smith precludes you from drafting with a Walker, but think of it. He has the same kind of traits. He does what you want him to do, knife inside. And at what point do we make him a D tackle? At what point do we make him a defensive end? If you're running a 4-3 defense, he's perfect. I'll put him on the edge. He can be that, strong side defensive end that helps stop the run, right? But in a 3-4 defense, I'm not going to risk it because, he can run a 4-5-1 and he can drop back. All these traits that you check off, but the one trait that we don't know is what can he do with his hands standing up? Is he going to finish? I know Kayvon Thibodeau can. Right? I don't know what anybody's talking about. Oh, that guy taking plays off. All I see that dude is
Kayvon
finish.
Thibodeau, I've said this, bro. We got Trevon Walker propaganda and Kayvon Thibodeau slander going on at the same time. It makes no sense because
I'm just like,
there's no reason this man should not go in the top 5.
oh my God. Oh my, I mean, just watch his tape. The guy explodes off the blocks, man. He's beating tackles with edge moves, with power, and then he finishes at the quarterback with, and disruptive. And getting back to Walker, that's another thing. I don't want a disruptor. We have that in Leonard Williams. I want a guy that's going to come home and finish the job. Azeez Ojulari, you were talking about. The thing about Azeez Ojulari was he played more down linebacker, more 3-4. He was more of attacking. With Lorenzo Carter, he dropped back more and was more like a middle linebacker that played on the outside. I think if Lorenzo Carter was a middle linebacker, he'd be great because he has range, he can run, he can knife, he can blitz, he can do everything you want in a middle linebacker to do. The problem is he's built like an edge person. So what are they doing? When you put a guy's hand in the dirt that didn't really do it, it's a trait you have to build. And so for me, Ojulari didn't need that. He had that muscle memory. Trayvon Walker allows you to do a lot of things, but I don't think he's right for Wink Martindale's defense and what he's trying to do. For me, it's more of a Jermaine Johnson, a Karlakis. I mean, if I'm going to get the guy with the same measurables, why not Karlakis? Karlakis has the same measurables and actually played.
I don't know why people are like, it's a term I use a lot around draft time because I see it happen every year. It's like they pick and choose certain prospect just to be willfully ignorant about. Like they're on purpose. They're not giving this guy a chance. They're not even going to look at his tape or even just to read what somebody else have said about him. Because with Karlakis, it's literally like the critiques that you see a lot of fans say, he's slow, he's not explosive, is the exact opposite of what he is. Right. I feel like they look at his measurements and they say, oh, he won't be a fit. And I'm like, bro, you haven't seen what this man has done. Now, the biggest one that I've seen that's like a legitimate critique has been, can he drop back in a Wink defense, which is probably going to have him drop back? And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Probably not. But I don't mind having a guy that's a pure pass rusher. And then in addition to that, another one I've seen is like his production. I'm like, if we're going to use production, use the same thing for Trevon Walker because he ain't got much production either. And there's been, I'm not about to compare him to these two players I'm about to mention. I'm just saying there has been success from edge rushers that at the college level had like really bad production. The two players, Chandler Jones and Danielle Hunter. And I like the Danielle Hunter one because we have the guy that made Danielle Hunter on the team right now.
Right. Well, see, the thing about Karlakis that people aren't understanding is that he has a lot of skills that translate to what you need to do. Dropping back into a zone is not hard because they're going to tell you, hey, just drop back to this spot. So he'll learn how to drop back into coverage. Now, covering somebody across the field, I don't want to see that anyways. I used to see Olivier Vernon running with guys downfield. I'm like, what the hell is this? What are you doing here? I don't need Olivier Vernon running with a running back. I don't need that. Now, if he comes into a zone, I need him to be able to understand and have the awareness of like, okay, this is my area. Now, you can teach that. What you can't teach is the dog that Karlakis brings. I mean, the guy runs over people, okay? There's a lot of things that you need to look at. Technique, bull rush, how he bends
and just to quickly touch on his technique, he's one of two players in this draft, and I say that with really good confidence. He probably has the best bag in this draft in terms of he has moves after moves after moves. Not there's not another person in the draft that has as many hand moves as he does.
Well, I like him because you can move him up and down the line. You can do a lot of different things. Like, see, the thing with Trayvon Walker is they kept him inside predominantly, right? They did do drop backs. They did, use him on the edge. But Karlakis was strictly on the edge. And then when they wanted to get a different matchup because they're bringing a blitz, they'd move him inside, kick him inside, and he'd go after the guards and come up the middle. So for me, he's a great edge rusher. And what you need in this Wink Martindale defense is a guy like that, a guy who can have a little bit more muscle and mass in case you need to have him set up the run, right? Like Calais Campbell is a great example, but I would want a Calais Campbell with more pass rush moves. Calais Campbell works in certain aspects. He's older now, so he doesn't do the things that he normally does. But I like Karlakis because I think he can play any type of style that they want to play, and that's what I'm looking for in my defensive outside linebackers: a little versatility. And here's the thing I heard about from Daniel Jeremiah, which I'm not sure if I believe it or if it gets me excited or if it makes me confused, because he goes, Jermaine Johnson came from Georgia, had the same system, had 4 sacks in the Georgia system. He then said he went to Florida and had 12 sacks. He's like, well, Trevon Walker had 6 sacks, Put him in a different system, you're going to equate that to more. Now, I can't
Nah. That Daniel Jeremiah said that, and then I said that in surprise. But well, first of all, shout out to Wild and Plug and Big Play Slay. What up, y'all? Big Play Slay ain't calling in a minute, bro. That's the secret Giants fan. But the reason I'm surprised is because Daniel Jeremiah is usually like one of the few guys that's kind of on point with a lot of their draft takes. This year he's been going. I don't know if I agree with him because he was also the same guy. He had us, the Giants, taking a wide receiver at 5 and Trevon Walker at 7. I disagree with that, bro. Jermaine Johnson himself said the reason he left Georgia was because he felt, even though he got 4 sacks in his first year, he felt like the system didn't suit him. And it's very clear that the system in Florida suited him better. Like, I don't know what DJ was talking about with that.
I don't know what he was talking about because I think the Trayvon Walker thing took him by surprise too because, you know, he tries to get – I think DJ's is drinking the sauce a little bit because I think there's people floating ideas out there for him, and he's running with a lot of them. That's how he makes up some of his mocks, right? But the Trayvon Walker thing, when he was saying, I was watching on the combine, I'm listening, I'm like, wait, what? What? Jermaine Johnson went to a different defense. So now you're saying because he was in this defense, you put him on the Giants defense, and now I'm going to get double-digit sacks automatically? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You know, that just doesn't make sense. And to me, for the Giants, like Jermaine Johnson, oh, my God, I would think he would be the ideal fit for the Wink Martindale defense because of his motor. He just never stops. He can bend the edge. He can run tackles over. He's got strength, power. Like, he can do it all. And he's got some ability to strip the ball, which people need to realize is an asset in this day and age, right? Before you want to just hit the quarterback, knock him down. Now I need a guy that can dislodge the football. And a guy like Jermaine Johnson with long arms, whew. But man, those receivers in the combine, they also impressed me too. They ran faster than
it's got to be the most athletic class of all time, just across the board of positions, man.
Right. I watched Chris Olave run. They ran the first time 4.26, but ended up being like a 4.38 or something like that. And I'm like, damn, man, that guy people forgot about. Like, he was talked about as the top receiver coming out if he was going to come out last year. Right. And then, of course, his teammate, Garrett Wilson, I think his name is, blew it up. So he got forgotten. I'm like, yo, Chris Olave somehow slipped. Now, he's not going to slip to the second round. He's definitely going to be a first-round pick. But, man, I would want to get my hands on him. And then there's a couple other guys. The kid from Notre Dame. I'm like, man, this dude's balling out right now. I could see the Giants kind of eyeing some receivers in this middle part of the draft. And then the tight ends, I was kind of disappointed with certain things. I'm like, yo, first off, the thing that got me with the tight ends, and I was
I agree with you. I just want to say real quick, I definitely expected a bit more out of them, but I think they went the same day as the D tackles, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so like because the D tackles just blew everybody out of the water, maybe that's a little bit why we didn't hear much from them.
Right. Well, I don't know. The tight ends, man, I was looking at guys getting beat up by a sled in the sled drills. I'm like, dude, you're a tight end, you can't even move this sled? Like, geez, like, how am I supposed to believe you knock a guy off? You can't even move a sled.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just disappointed in some of the blocking. There is a guy named Daniel Bellinger, I think his name is. He's moving up the boards in my eyes. He's a nice blocking tight end. The thing that caught me was he actually moved the sled. I'm like, wow, a tight end that actually moved the sled back and did the right proper technique. Because I don't think the Giants need a two-way tight end. That's what they need. I know there's rumors about Evan Ingram coming back. Great job. Fine. You want to come back, give him a shot.
No, listen, man. I think we could both say we don't want him back, but after what he did on Twitter today, I feel like he's gone. So.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe he is. You look, Evan Ingram. I like the idea. He didn't come through for us, and I'm in the ilk that he was built for McAdoo's system. Remember, I keep telling people back in the day, somebody asked McAdoo, how do you beat they ran a 12 personnel, right, with the widespread offense they ran. They said, you're always getting beat by cover 2. How do you beat that? We need a seam buster. Well, they got their seam buster in Evan Ingram. Then he left in 2017 or whatever it was. And then he brought in Pat Shurmur, didn't really know how to use him. And then, of course, Jason Garrett. So, listen, I agree with tight end. I'm hoping they bring in somebody. I'm over Evan Ingram. I've seen enough. 5 years is enough to know that, yeah, bro, you're a talented player, but maybe not here.
And then shout out to Nate in here, Lamar, and Cookie Monster. It's not what he said. It's kind of, so basically, it's the new wave, and I don't like it. I don't agree with it at all. I think it's just weird. But it's the new way for an NFL player to basically say they want out or that they are getting out. And I mean, he's a free agent, right? So this is him saying that he's getting out of the town. he changed his banner, which used to be him in a Giants uniform or something like that, and he changed his profile picture, which also used to be him, just something Giants related. Changes his bio. It no longer says tight end for the New York Giants or anything like that, or anything Giants related. It's all blank now because he's an unrestricted free agent. And then right after he did that, he tweeted out like a grinning teeth emoji. So I'm just like, oh, okay, like he wants out or he feels like he's gonna get a good deal, and so all right, then yeah, that's what's up. I mean, I really didn't want him back anyway. Good luck to you, in your future endeavors. Like that's what it is. Miz in here, Miz. I hope everything's all right, bro. I didn't get to recheck my phone after we spoke a little bit earlier. And then there is no line at the back right now, Nate. So you good? But yeah, no. So I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be gone, man.
I listen. I know Dable likes all these weapons. I'm like this, and maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but at some point you just need to move on for guys. Just be like, okay, you know, like you've been here, it didn't work out. Sorry, you know, it's like a job, a regular job. If you go in and they're like, listen, you've been here, you gave us your time, it's not working out anymore. You know, let's just part ways. You know, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we as fans tend to hold on so much. Oh, well, let's hold out hope. You know, there's potential. And it's like sometimes you got to think business wise, like, well, we've given him the ample amount of time on contract. He hasn't improved. He's had injuries. Let's just clean the slate. And for me, this is why I'm adamant about getting rid of everybody, including like Barkley, Jones. Just get rid of everybody and let the imprint be Brian Daboll and Joe Shane with no leftovers from the last regime, because then what happens is we'll keep this guy and do this and do that. Now there are some guys we keep, right? McKinney, you know, Thomas, you know, Kadarius Toney, those kind of guys. But anybody previous 2020 should be gone. You know, just see ya, bye. You've had your chance. I mean, Barkley, great. He's been a great player. Do I want him here? Yes. Do I need him here to evaluate Daniel Jones? I don't know. But hey, if you can't find a suitor for him, he's only $7 million, one more year, and then he's gone, right? So, but to me, I'm like, just get rid of these guys. You know, to me, if you're going to do a clean slate and rebuild, and they're rebuilding, let's be honest, they're rebuilding. They're not trying to half-ass this shit. Sorry, Hub.
That's all right.
Curse, but, you know, they're not trying to half-ass it. So if you're not going to do it, just get rid of the guys that were here, because they breathe a losing culture anyways. What is Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley?
No, I'm with you right there, bro. Because like you said, with the Saquon thing, if there's not a suitor that's giving us something legit, then he's here one more year. That's it. You guys already know how I feel about DJ. I'd like use him as the bridge. Then that's it. Like I'm fully on board replacing him next year. I don't think we should be doing it this year because I don't see a legit replacement there. Just build the team that's gonna be around the next quarterback. So I'm with you on those two things. Miz is talking about Van Dyke. Miz, I don't know if you were in here earlier. I think it was CJ that also mentioned him as like a sleeper quarterback for next year. It's a little bit early, but I don't know. Do you know anything about that guy, Van Dyke?
He's from Miami. He's doing pretty well. He's got some zip on his ball. But let's wait and see what happens in the college season. Because a lot of guys were praised this year. Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler. Oh, wait, Spencer Rattler's going to be the number one overall pick. What happened to that guy? He fell off. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen in Miami. But let's slow our praises down on these guys, because everything changes with the season. So let's see how he starts out. You know, I mean, you got the guy from Oklahoma, Alabama, Bryce Young, right? He's pretty good. You got the kid from Ohio State. He's pretty good. So here's the thing that I want to stress, because I know a lot of people are talking about quarterback next year. And what I'm afraid is going to happen is the Giants don't trade 7, right? Or 5, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they don't trade that guy, hey Nate, how you doing? If they don't trade out, right? How do I know they're going to get a quarterback next year without mortgaging the farm, right? Because everyone's like, oh, you know, like the Giants are rebuilding, but we want to win 7 games. Well, that puts you at the cusp of like 11 or 12, right? So that means you're probably going to have to give up something to get a quarterback that you desire. Right, because there's going to be more. I'm assuming a few of these teams like Detroit and Houston are probably going to be sucked this year too, and so next year they're going to be in the market for quarterbacks. So you got to fight off them, and then whoever else just shits the bed this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we as Giant fans believe they're going to win 5, 6, maybe even 7 games, we need to have them trade out of 5 or 7. To acquire ammunition to go up and get somebody, because if they don't, and they end up outside the top 10, they're going to be mortgaging that draft and future drafts to get up there.
Yeah. And what up, Nate? Nate popped in. You know what? Let me pop in Slay as well, because I know Slay is a youngin', so he probably has a bedtime. But yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Man, you didn't have to do him dirty like
Wow.
that right when you popped him into the stream,
Wow,
bro.
that-
I mean,
that
am
was
I
wild.
wrong though, Slay? Am I wrong or am I right? I actually want to know.
I mean, really, neither. But
I think I have more of the bedtime. I'm the old guy here, so
Well, it's good to see you, Kush. Been a minute since I've been on stream. Wow,
What up?
what a day in the NFL, huh?
yeah.
Wild
yeah,
day.
no.
Following up a what I think was probably a quiet what was it, franchise tag day.
I mean, the days after the NFL Combine are wild. I tweeted that, and my God, it came true.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
bro. The whole reason Walker is even up on screen right now is because you got people saying take him over Thibodeau.
Please stop. Please, we're not having that conversation tonight. I don't have the energy for it. But my God, the Aaron Rodgers contract was the news of the day for about an hour and a half, and now he's looking for his equal attention once again. But goodness gracious! So now we got people talking about trading back with Seattle. Seattle just got Drew Lock as part of the deal. I'm assuming that they're going to take a quarterback and have a little fight it out type charade in camp, even though we all know Drew Lock is not going to be the starter. Come on, it's Drew Lock. But at the same time, it's an interesting situation because packages are being floated around on Twitter. People are proposing some stuff, obviously speculation, but this does make some interesting waves in the NFL.
And what up, TVM? We got a Packers fan in here right now. I talked to him earlier on Twitter about how he feels about Jordan Love. So that's gonna be interesting. And then
Year backup.
Slay, how you doing, man?
I am doing great. Appreciate you for having me on.
No problem.
Yeah, man. As Nate said, it has been one interesting day. I mean, especially with the Rodgers thing, that kind of shocked me because I didn't think the Packers would resign him, especially for that long. And then
Yeah.
Wilson got traded to the Broncos, which was
I don't know why I
crazy.
went
I mean,
there. But
that was crazy. Like, that was mind blowing.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you look at Aaron Rodgers personally, I know that I didn't really expect him to be back on the Packers next year. I didn't think it was impossible, but it certainly wasn't what I expected. I thought that the more likely options were either that he would get traded or that he'd retire. Of course, the reason I thought that is I didn't expect the Packers to offer him $200 million over 4 years.
Well, let's remember
guaranteed.
now. According to the man himself and Aaron Rodgers, he says that's not the
whatever.
contract.
The point is, odds are that's going to be in the ballpark, right?
And I'll say
we
this.
don't think it's going to be that much less than that, do we?
Listen, man. Y'all know I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers, so I mean, it is what it is. Whatever contract he gets, I just think that no matter what the Packers, they not going that far next year, bro, because they
100%
have people on the defense that needed to be re-signed, and re-signing Aaron Rodgers certainly puts a dent in doing that.
Okay, let's break this down. I mean, this is a simple numbers game, right? We all know the salary cap isn't real and whatever. We've seen how the Saints are getting slapped in the face for it right now. But the Packers were already, what was it, $28 million over the cap before today? Now you've just signed Aaron Rodgers. There's no shot that even if he takes a team-friendly deal, he's making less than $35 million year one. There's just no way. He's not going to get paid that little year one. We know that. So bare minimum $35 million on the cap right there. Then you're adding in a franchise tag on Devontae Adams. That's $18.5 for a wide receiver in the NFL this year. You just put on $53.5 million on top of already being 28 over the number. Now you've got an entire roster to re-sign, basically. So let's look at the Packers' needs here, right? On defense, because defense is the real problem. We'll say offense first. They're going to need a couple of offensive linemen. It's going to be difficult to work out Bakhtiari. They're probably going to need a couple of receivers behind Devontae Adams, but that is the least of their problems. The defense is going to be an issue. Let's imagine for a second that Eric Stokes works out as a corner. You still need a third, so that's one corner. You probably need a safety. You need a couple of middle linebackers. You need a defensive tackle, maybe two. You need both edge rushers, and you're probably going to need depth behind that. There's just no chance this roster is going to be anything but Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Jair Alexander. Everything else is going to be crap around them. We'll see. The NFC is weak. I'll give them that. The NFC, like, the one thing I can probably justify this with is they see that the NFC is on the downfall currently, and they want to try and buy the dip. At the same time, my God, you didn't make it past the divisional round when you had a team around Aaron Rodgers. Now you're missing everything. You brought Aaron Rodgers back. Congratulations. What's he going to do for you? You know he can't carry you to a Super Bowl. He's won the MVP the last 2 years, and you ain't made it to the big one yet. It's just not gonna work. I mean, my God, the only way they're gonna find success in the NFC is because it's a weak conference. It's just a difficult move to reconcile in my brain. Because I mean, I'll use your language, AC. You just mortgaged the farm for Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's gonna play to the end of this deal. I don't think that he's gonna play another 4 years in the league. I really don't think so. And you just, I know the future wasn't exactly bright anyway post Aaron Rodgers, but you set your rebuild back that many years now. Like, this is
getting 153 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
exactly. And I know, Kush,
And
as
it
Kush
still
brought
makes-
up, it's not an exact figure yet because we don't know the actual details,
right,
but it's in the
that's
air.
yeah,
lot.
but it's still
That's a lot of money to give
it still
somebody.
makes no sense to me though. Like that Jordan Love pick just looks dumber and dumber.
Oh yeah,
That's
it's,
what I'm
it
saying.
gets
Why?
stupider by the day.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm like,
Oh my.
and I'm gonna respectfully disagree with TVN because he's a great guy. But he was like, if the deal for Aaron Rodgers is actually like a 2-year deal or something, then he stands by the Jordan Love pick. I'm paraphrasing. Correct me if I'm wrong, TVN. But I'm sorry. The fact that this re-signing even happened makes it a terrible pick.
Well, here's the thing. At the time, I didn't dislike the pick that much. I didn't love it. It wasn't exactly what I would have done in the moment, but I did understand it. Like,
Right.
I saw it as, you don't think Aaron Rodgers is the long-term future, and you don't want to end up moving off Aaron Rodgers and saying, oh shit, we have a roster that's ready to compete and no quarterback. Like, I got that. I understood that. I didn't love the move. I thought they could have done, no pun intended, I thought they could have done better. Let's put it this way, it wasn't what I would have done. But at the same time, I understood it. But in retrospect now, 2020 hindsight and all that, it just shows they had no goddamn plan for how to handle Aaron Rodgers. I think
Aaron Rodgers has had that
expectation-
franchise in a chokehold for the last 4
yeah.
years, man.
He's had the Packers by the balls. I think Gutekunst and Packers ownership as well. I think those two parties, I would guess, expected Aaron Rodgers to fall off by now. I don't think they expected him to uphold this level of play. I think they thought that they would have been able to justify moving off of Rodgers by now. But now that he's winning MVPs and he's doing this stuff and he's playing so well and he's still got his touchdown to interception ratio up, I think now they feel handcuffed to him. And that's a problem because it's just not the right decision for the franchise.
Right.
I'll give them the NFC, but if it came down to it, they still have to beat up with a team like the Niners, who they just lost to. And we got to see how Trey Lance develops. And he's looked really good. And then you got the AFC, which just added one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Can you
It
believe
already
Russell Wilson
had
is
the
about?
Bengals.
Sorry, can you believe Russell Wilson is about to be the
So-
third best quarterback in the AFC West?
Crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Jesus.
That's what I mean, think about
Justin
that. You're
Herbert
gonna
and
probably
Patrick
have three of
Mahomes.
them in the playoffs. You're gonna probably three. Of
I
those
still
teams.
have Russell
Most
Wilson
likely.
ahead of Justin Herbert for now, for this year.
I
We'll
don't
see
know.
past this year.
Well, I think they're kind of even.
Man,
you know,
Wilson is better than
go off.
Herbert. Like, if we're just being real, like Herbert is
I don't
better. I
know.
mean, not Wilson. Wilson's better.
We'll see. It's going to be a
Wilson,
great
huh?
dogfight in that division because, defensively, Denver's pretty good, right? So they were
Yeah,
only
yeah.
a quarterback away from being really good team,
Yeah.
right? That's what we were saying all
Mhm.
year. It's like, you get them a quarterback, they're going to be good. Well, now they got their quarterback. Let's see if they can beat the up-and-coming Chargers. And, of course, we have Mahomes out there. Now, my only thing is that I like Russell Wilson. I'm thinking right now Herbert's done some things that, maybe a young Russell Wilson can do, but that 60
Against
yard
us.
right, yeah, against us on a rope. That thing was I got up out of my seat. I said, bro, this is why you draft that kid because
Yeah, he's
that's a
ridiculous.
throw
Bro,
that
he's
nobody
supposed to be a giant. The Chargers got back at us for taking Eli from them, man.
You can count on one hand the number of quarterbacks in the league that can make that throw. It was ridiculous. I mean, come on.
And he just shrugged it off. He's like, "Oh, 3rd and 9. I'm just
Exactly.
gonna throw a 70-yard bomb. Boom! Like what?
And the thing is, that's one of those plays where you really can't even be mad because the Giants' defense defended it almost perfectly. Like
Yeah,
you
I
can
mean,
say,
Jackson-
the safeties didn't play through the whistle. Whatever, man. Like that's
was
just
not.
stupid. Come
nobody
on.
was defending that ball. That
No.
was well placed ball. Actually, I love the kid coming.
You know what's
out.
hilarious to me? Denver might get better because, what's his name? Von Miller's trying to go back there, which is
Oh yeah, I heard that.
absolutely hilarious. So basically, Denver got picks just for a 1-year
Yeah, I
rental
know.
over
Yeah.
in LA. That's
it's
funny.
an impressive little turnaround for Denver right there.
Well, imagine if he does come back and their defense improves that greatly and they're in the playoff hunt. I mean, my God, what a storybook, right? You go get your second ring. He was going to the Hall of Fame anyways. It's not like
I mean, the number of storylines here are incredible. I mean, just going all the way back, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks were the ones that bitched the Broncos in the playoffs when Peyton Manning was still there, in the Super Bowl, rather. And now he's coming back, and you figure, oh, now you're Super Bowl contenders. And now you're thinking maybe Von Miller just won a ring and he might come back. Or maybe even a better case scenario, at least for the NFL storyline-wise, is Von Miller stays in L.A., and you end up with an L.A.-Denver Week 1 matchup in Los Angeles. Like, come on. That's fire.
Let me ask you this, since we're talking quarterback. Watson's court hearing ends on Friday. And so do we think he's going any place, or you think he's out of the NFL?
Literally, the last thing I read on it said that the two teams in play for him would be the Commanders and the Eagles, which would both make me very sad if he goes to either.
Who knows, man?
But, I mean, we got an Eagles fan right here. You guys believe in Jalen Hurts, right? You don't need Deshaun Watson. Right?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
Yes, you got your Jalen Hurts jersey on?
I've always been on, like, iffy on.
Nah, bro, wait. You're keeping Jalen Hurts, right?
I hope they trade for Watson.
I mean,
I'd laugh so hard.
I would want to keep him.
Okay.
But the organization is so iffy on him. I mean, you have Howie Roseman who says
who's better, bro?
He's our guy at the presser,
Don't
which you're
start
supposed
that
to say,
push.
but
Listen, man, I remember talking to Philly Notion, and Philly Notion said Jalen Hurts a top 10 QB, man.
Philly Notion also said he was a top 5 QB. Philly Notion says some wild things about Jalen Hurts.
When I had Philly Notion on the channel during the season,
he's a top 5 quarterback.
Yo, Notion, my guy, but man,
he's wild sometimes. Smart dude, though.
Serviceable QB right now.
Is he? I don't know about that one.
So, I mean, you know what? I'll ask the other three of you then. Those were the two teams I heard.
The other three of us?
Yeah.
That math doesn't work out here.
Because I was one. I answered AC's question.
Because you were talking about BPS, and I thought we were the other three, and there were two of us.
No. So, so the two teams I heard of were the Eagles and the Commanders.
Yeah.
What other teams do you think he could potentially go? I mean, honestly,
the Panthers are trying to make a play for him.
I was gonna say the Panthers come up a little bit. What do you guys think if they could somehow work a contract, like the contracts out? What do you think about the Titans?
Ooh,
oh no! Don't say that.
Because they were in a sweepstakes for a quarterback. Now they're going to get rid of Tannehill. So I mean, you put him on the Titans, man. You have Henry and him in the backfield. That's a pretty formidable quarterback duo.
Didn't the Titans also literally just extend or do something with Harold Landry, like a big contract?
Yeah, they just signed him huge. Like they way overpaid for him. They wanted to keep him around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm gonna have an unpopular take on this. I know it won't happen, and I know this is the opposite of what they're doing right now. I think the Titans should blow it up. I don't think they're gonna win a Super Bowl with this core. I don't think this is a team that's going to compete with the absolute meat grinder that is the AFC right now. I think at this point, unless, and I'm going to get to Deshaun Watson in a second, unless you have an elite quarterback, I don't think you can win the AFC.
And I want to say this.
I don't think it's possible.
I agree with you
hold
because
on, let me just finish the thought and then you can respond. But on that note, Deshaun Watson would be a variable in that equation, because I do think that if Deshaun Watson was on that team, you could realistically see the Titans making a big run. The problem is, as always, what the hell is going on with Deshaun Watson? I mean, it's just so difficult to reconcile. And then my thought is with Mike Vrabel, rather, what is he going to think about Deshaun Watson's issues, and how is he going to respond to that? Like we hear we all know he's a Belichick disciple. We hear he's a little bit different. He's a little bit cooler with his players. He's a player's coach, whatever. It's just such a difficult thing to project. And I think for me, when I look at Watson, I think his issues are also going to hinder his market. People are gonna look past it and say, "Oh, teams don't care. They just want an elite quarterback." Some teams do care. It depends a lot on what owner you're talking about, what general manager you're talking about, what head coach you're talking about. And yeah, that's where I'm going with this. Is I think that Washington and Deshaun Watson might be the most unfortunate forced marriage in the league this year. I think that if Deshaun Watson does end up getting cleared to play, and if he does end up getting traded, it might be the Commanders that he doesn't want to go to and don't necessarily want his issues, but they're just so desperate for the opposite side. Deshaun Watson is so desperate to not be a Texan, and Washington is so desperate for a quarterback. I think it could happen, and that would be my favorite at the moment.
And real quick, I was gonna say with the Titans thing, I agree with you because I feel like once
What
they
about the
signed,
Vikings?
wait, real quick, so once they signed Tannehill, that contract was their timeline, and unless they got to upgrade within that timeline, I don't think it was gonna happen. No, I'm with you on that one. Their window is closed unless they could somehow pull an elite quarterback out of thin air this year. But go ahead, Slay.
I was gonna say Pittsburgh. What do you guys feel? They're in the
I was just gonna say,
Ooh.
what about the Minnesota Vikings?
Nah, Minnesota's too tied
Minnesota-
down to Kirk Cousins.
Minnesota is
Yeah, the
also a little
Vikings.
bit
I mean, they-
overrated, bro.
They're a talented team.
I mean,
They're a very
Pittsburgh is-
talented team, very much so. But I
Yeah,
think
I
they're
mean,
too tied. Like they're too handcuffed to Kirk Cousins.
But the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's one.
That one I could see.
See,
That one I
that's
can see.
that's a team. If they want to sneak in with the into the Watson sweepstakes, I could see them
Yeah.
figuring something out. Because
So
to
could I.
me,
Yeah.
you know, let's see, right? You give up your first round pick and then a couple other picks for Watson, and your team's
Well,
already made. I
The
mean,
trade
they
that went
basically-
down with
absolutely.
Russell Wilson, you'd have to. I think it'd have to be something similar, right? Obviously, you know the issues probably makes them a bit cheaper, but it would definitely be a couple firsts. At least I'd say
Right.
at least like 2 or 3 firsts, because the Texans were at one point asking for 5 firsts, right?
Well, I mean, the Pittsburgh went to the playoffs last year. Big Ben was one of the reasons they didn't do well because he was just washed, right? So now you bring in a youth movement of Deshaun Watson with Najee
Yeah.
Harris back there, right?
Mhm.
The receivers that they can get downfield. I just think that's a perfect fit for me. He's got Tomlin, a coach that would fight for him. Obviously, there's a guy in Flores who wanted him in Miami, right? So there's a marriage right there. So to me, if I'm Pittsburgh. Maybe I'm the guy. Maybe I'm the team behind the scenes calling up saying, "What do you want from him? We're going to get him. We want to get back in this AFC picture."
Yeah, that's actually a really good shout. I still think Washington, I think Washington is going to be a team that they have missed out on so many quarterback opportunities. I think they're at a point where they will oversell everything to get Deshaun Watson. But at the same time, yeah, I 100% agree that that's a perfect fit. Everything lines up, even the unfortunate parts, which is we all know what Ben Roethlisberger's problems were, and clearly that didn't become an issue for the franchise.
I don't want to make that parallel, but you know,
But listen, I'm saying it so you don't have to. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Everything lines up, and I will die on this hill. They are a team that they are the only team it makes sense to take an unnecessary risk on a quarterback this offseason.
Right.
Deshaun Watson could very well be that unnecessary risk.
Like the Panthers, okay, give me a break. You already have so many quarterbacks here. You're not going anywhere. Don't even bother getting Deshaun Watson. But Pittsburgh, I'm just saying, if I'm Tomlin and I'm sitting back in my chair and I'm looking down my roster and I'm looking at the quarterbacks coming out now, why not? Why not just you know what? We made the playoffs last year. We have a pretty decent team. Our defense, we have the defensive player of the year on our defense, right? And TJ Watt. Why not go for it and say, hey, bring this guy in. We know he's going to have baggage. I can control him. I can do this. I'm Mike Tomlin, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I think the Steelers' window also is right now. Their window is at this moment. A lot of people have been talking about the Broncos, and I've been one that says this. They've been a quarterback away for 2-3 years. The Steelers have been a quarterback away for the last 2 years. We're talking that is one of the best rosters in football, and the only problem they've had is Big Ben Roethlisberger. That is a team that you put a good quarterback even on, even a decent quarterback, they're going to make noise in the playoffs. You put Deshaun Watson there, and he's got his old form. That's a formidable team.
I mean, they might win the AFC North with him there. And
very possibly.
Possibly more. Because
and also,
that's how good they are.
yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, speaking of the AFC North, we all know that the AFC West is the absolute powerhouse. It's stupid. It's so stacked. Sleeper for best division in the NFL. AFC North. I promise you, that division, especially if the Steelers figure out quarterback, that division is going to be a nightmare. My God.
Will become good too. Like all
Yeah.
of a sudden, they're like every team in that division is winning. You're like, what?
The Steelers
Bengals?
have a ferocious defense and some decent talent on offense. The Browns have everything except their receivers and maybe quarterback, depending on how you feel about Mayfield. And I am gonna this is gonna be my take for the offseason. Like every content creator has this one thing that they say all offseason and they stick by it. My one thing is gonna be that the Ravens are gonna be really, really good next year. I am in on the Ravens for 2022. I think that a lot of people, so many people I see on the internet are wilding on this Lamar Jackson stuff right now. A lot of people are heavy on the recency bias. And I think these Ravens, because they had a lot of injury problems last year, lots of injury problems, I think these Ravens are going to come into the league next year and shake some shit up. That's a team that still has a lot of talent. They still have one of the most electric playmakers under center in the league. That's a team that I can definitely see, especially since they didn't really lose much. All they can do is get better this offseason. I think losing Martindale is a little bit questionable. I wouldn't have done that if I was them. But at the same time, they still have a lot of talent on that defense. They still have a pretty good offensive line. They have receivers that should come back healthy next year. Rashad Bateman, I still think, is going to be really good. And Lamar Jackson is not going to be a below-average quarterback. That was the anomaly, not the rule last year.
I agree with you there, man. I had the Ravens, obviously, before the injuries. I really thought they were going to be the guys representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. And if everybody comes back healthy, then that is once again very much a possibility.
I mean, it's the Ravens, and they lost all three of their running backs before the season starts. Come on. That's like the Chiefs losing their wide receivers.
And they still happen to be in it at the end of the year, which is
right.
crazy.
They were still half a game out of the playoffs.
Right. And one win here, one bounce of the football there, they're in the dance.
Absolutely.
But the only thing that scares me with them is Lamar Jackson sometimes in big games folds, and that's what I'm worried about. It's like the same thing with the Titans, right? You see Tannehill, he'll throw it all over the yard in the regular season. Come a big game, he turns into a pumpkin. Yeah. And I'm not sure if that's necessarily Lamar, but sometimes Lamar, remember, I don't know how old you are, but Michael Vick was, when I came up, was the Lamar Jackson of this era. I mean, you've seen me. I don't know how old you are, and you've probably seen Vic or highlights or guys like that. I don't want to be biased. I got you. Anyways, so Vic is that guy to me. So the thing about Vic that was better than Jackson was he was a better passer than Jackson.
He developed into a better passer. Yeah, I would say that at the beginning he was still just as bad a passer as people say Lamar is.
Well, he had a cannon for an arm. That was the difference. Was he could just throw it on a rope.
He does. Yards. But Lamar also has a big arm, not a Vic arm, but a big arm.
Right. But I think the thing is Vic got out of it with feet and arms, and right now I think Lamar Jackson sometimes has a tendency to quickly run. And Vic, as he got older, especially in the early days of Atlanta when he came in, he was running all over the place. But as he developed as a passer, it became more apparent that to me, like the weakness that Lamar has is that he'll drop back, and if things start to break down quickly, he'll just say, "I'm the best athlete on the field. I'm gone." And sometimes in the playoffs, they know you're going to do that. They're like, all right, we're going to play the defense so you come towards us and basically take it out. So you have to win it with your arm. So that's the only thing is I'm worried about.
Oh, damn, Nate popped out.
Well, to finish my point, I'm just afraid that he is not capable of carrying his team passer-wise. I haven't seen it yet. But, hey, Hub, man, always good talking to you, man. Thanks for giving me some extended time to chat it up with you.
No problem.
I'm sure I'll be lurking around this off season. Definitely, if there's any big moves, I'll jump on and we can chat about it. And of course, the Hurry Up Premium Takes, a couple of things I do. Hub, you do a great job. I'll see you later. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Hey, it's all good. You and Nate, even though Nate popped out by accident, bro, y'all popping out at the right time because I'm coming towards that 90-minute mark. I'm about to end it right here. I want to give a big shout out. Oh, I mean, if you got a couple other things to say, sure, but I was about to end it. Let me swing it to you on Twitter. There you go. And to respond to Wild and Plug, I won't disagree if people say that Lamar is a better player than Vic right now. In terms of better passer, somebody just put in the chat the passing yards. He led the league in passing touchdowns a couple years ago. We're talking about passing mechanics, I'm pretty sure, not necessarily just passing production here. And Nate, you back in?
Sorry, my laptop did an oops. That's my bad there. I did want to pop back in though and respond to what he was saying, which is absolutely facts. I definitely 100% agree that he has a tendency to think that his best course of action is to get it done himself. And I think this could be going out on a limb. It could be a little bit of an overextension of my personal opinion, but I do think that that's a product of him not trusting his receivers. And I think that as he develops as a passer, it's going to be helpful to have better, more reliable receivers around him to help him do that. So, yeah, I agree with what he was saying. Anyway,
I'm agreeing with you
I just
there.
wanted to respond.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you there as well in terms of the receivers things, because he was supposed to have another receiver in Bateman last year, and Bateman got injured or something along those lines, right? So along with all the other injuries, listen, I didn't have them going to the Super Bowl last year for no reason. Part of that is the quarterback. If everybody is healthy, once again on this Ravens team, I once again will have them being in the Super Bowl. I think they're that good. I think they're that put together. And on the receiver part, they got better at the receiver position. Rashad Bateman,
Yeah.
I hope
I
he's
still
going
think
to
he's gonna be a
prove
dog.
people right from last year and be one of the best receivers out that draft.
Yeah, I'm still very high on Rashad Bateman. That's probably not going to change anytime soon. I just think he's very talented. I think he's going to end up doing well in that Ravens offense. But more than that, I think a lot of people are taking the wrong lesson from this past year, and a lot of people who maybe had preconceived notions about Lamar. I think a lot of people who maybe had that opinion that already thought he couldn't do it as a passer, who already thought he was too one-dimensional. I think they looked at a year where everything around him was injured and he got injured and took that to mean, hey, we're right, confirmation bias. Clearly, Lamar isn't that dude. No, Lamar is absolutely that dude. And I think as long as they're healthy next year, I'm still going to be very high on them. I'm not going to necessarily say I'll take them going to the Super Bowl, because the AFC is, my God, it's loaded. There's still a few other teams I like better than them. But at the same time, yeah, the Ravens are going to be a problem next year.
And shout out to Engraven, I see him in here. And I was going to say, this draft is so perfect for them because they can get a Devontae Wyatt in the first round or a Jordan Davis, which they want in the defense, and they could still get more wide receiver help in the second or third round this draft. And the Ravens draft well.
Alec Pierce.
The Ravens just draft well.
Yeah, the Ravens. You're so right. I've said that before. The Ravens consistently draft super well. But yeah, I would love to see them pick up Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce, I think, is one of the more talented and underrated players in this draft. Him and Rashad Bateman across from each other with I almost said Mecole Hardman. That would be stupid. Along with Hollywood Brown in the slot. That's a really good receiving core.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget about, I think this man is really, really rising up the rankings of tight ends, man. Mark Andrews is a beast. And the connection he has with Lamar is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
that's great.
To get away from the Ravens a little bit, I guess, was there anything specific you want to talk about when you popped in? Because you kind of popped in the middle of a conversation. We just kind of continued with it.
Sorry. I mean, I just was... I was going to hop in at the beginning of the stream, but I was in the middle of some stuff. I mean, really, I just wanted to come in and talk about this wild day of the NFL. But if you are getting to the end of your stream,
no, I want to ask you about Walker. All right, because listen, bro,
God.
You've been getting a little overhyped.
This always happens. Every year this happens, and we all say it's gonna happen as if we have any chance of changing it, and then it happens anyway. Guys, the NFL draft is not as important as the tape. Please stop thinking that it is. God, it's been a long week. It's only Tuesday, and it's been a long week. Anyway, the NFL Combine is not nearly as important as the tape. Trayvon Walker's an athletic freak. He's a good edge prospect. Someone should draft him decently high. Please, for the love of God, can we stop overhyping this man? This is getting ridiculous. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah started it when he put him to the Giants at 5, and now the entire NFL world saw him talking about him at the Combine and saw Walker post some great numbers, and he is an incredible athlete. He's a freak, and everyone saw that, and now they're freaking out saying, oh my God, Daniel Jeremiah was right. He's the second best edge in the draft. Kayvon Thibodeau falling down boards. Who's George Karlaftis? Who's David Ojabo? It's Trayvon Walker season. I mean, hell, I've seen some people say that he should go in front of Hutchinson. That's how you know we're just going too far, guys. Come on. Trayvon Walker is a really great athlete. He has some really great tools, but he's not there yet.
Listen,
he has a tendency to disappear in big games. He doesn't have a ton of moves in his bag yet. It's just not there. He's not that prospect yet. He's a high ceiling guy. I'll give you that. But
Trayvon Walker is like He's my edge 6, but I think at the highest anybody should have him ranked is like edge 5, bro. I'm not even kidding with you. Like,
I mean, goodness.
this is beyond ridiculous. Adam brought it up. He said he'd be better suited as a guy on the interior because that's where they played him most of the time, at Georgia. Interior meaning defensive end, not necessarily OLB.
I'm confused what you mean by that.
It's not what I mean. It's what Adam meant.
Adam, if you're still in chat, clarify what you mean by that.
I think what he meant was put him in a 4-3.
Okay, well, first of all, the 4-3 is dying out in the NFL, but more importantly, I don't think he's a defensive lineman. I think that's a waste of his athleticism. But yeah, in terms of just what he is as a prospect, that's neither here nor there. I think that when you're looking at Trayvon Walker, he's got such a high ceiling, and he really is a good prospect. I don't want to sound like I'm trashing on him, but he just hasn't put it on tape like some of these other guys have. Kayvon Thibodeau is miles ahead of him as a pass rusher, miles ahead. They're both freak athletes, and Trayvon Walker is probably every bit the athlete that Kayvon Thibodeau is, but he is not there in the pass rush game yet. You can say what you want about Thibodeau's extracurricular problems, whatever you want to call it, but when the lights are on, when the quarterback drops back, Kayvon Thibodeau is a monster. He is a problem. He is the guy that you're trying to game plan against as an offensive line coach and as an offensive coordinator. That's something that is very, very,
and who do you
very,
have
very valuable.
above, just other than Thibodeau, just in general, who do you have ahead of him on the edge rankings?
On the edge rankings? I'd say I'll give you my edge rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Karlaftis, Ojabo, Walker.
Oh, so you have Johnson behind Walker. All right, let me
Yes.
hear the reasoning for that one, because mine are the exact same, except I have Johnson as my 5 and Walker as my 6.
I think Jermaine Johnson's just as raw as Walker is. I think that a lot of people have
the
seen his
difference
highlights
is
and gotten too
that
high on him.
I think that he's put more on tape than Walker has put on tape.
Yeah, a little, but I would say the difference there is covered a lot by the fact that when you're watching Georgia's tape, their game wasn't their game didn't need to be rely on your edge rushers. They had Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt in the middle and Nakobe Dean behind that. They didn't like. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have put more on tape because he should have. That's the whole reason I think he's overhyped. But Jermaine Johnson, my problem with him is he has an inconsistent get off. There's plays where he gets stuck in the mud. Not quite Arnold Ebiketie inconsistent, because that's a whole other conversation. But he has an inconsistent get-off. He has a tendency to get washed out of plays completely. And once he loses the first attack of a rep, he just doesn't recover. He has no second wind on any pass rush rep. And he's got some nice moves in the bag, but he just hasn't shown that he's a complete pass rusher yet, I would say. I love his spin. I love his swim. He has a couple of really good clubs in the bag. I think he could stand to learn to do more with his hands. I think besides that swim, his hand usage is inconsistent. I think he's okay in the run game, but I don't love his technique on run blocks. I think that Jermaine Johnson has a lot of room to grow, as does Trayvon Walker. The reason I would put Walker ahead of him is not so much that I like what he did on tape better, but I think Trayvon Walker is a higher ceiling. Because, I mean, let's be fair to him. He did test freakishly well. I mean, my goodness, his 40 time combined with his size and his 10-yard split was ridiculous.
Yeah, and we didn't graven in here since Bobby Wagner was released. I don't even know if you talked about that yet. That was right before I started the stream. I know that the Ravens are going to be a nice landing spot for him potentially. If you got any thoughts on Bobby Wagner now being a free agent,
it's depressing. That's my thoughts on it. It's an end
or
of an era in
Seattle's definitely they got to go into full rebuild mode, right? So like, what do they do with DK?
Keep him around. There's no reason to get rid of DK Metcalf.
Tyler,
that juice ain't worth the squeeze. What?
Tyler?
He's gonna be gone. Oh yeah, he's gone. I'll say this with the Seahawks and Bobby Wagner, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson. I think this is smart. I think they're doing the exact right thing. This is probably what I would have said would be their best move, which is completely blowed up. Because much like I was saying with the Titans earlier, I just don't think they're going to win with this core. We've shown, and I'll say this, I think coaching is a big part of it. I think Pete Carroll should not be there much longer. But even without getting into that, because that's sort of a different conversation, they've shown this is not a core that can compete anymore with the giants of the league. And if you're not there, you need to acknowledge that you're on the wrong side of the age barrier, and it's time to blow it up. I think you could see, I think Jamal Adams will stick around because it's just not something you see an organization do, trade that much for one superstar and then get rid of him the next year. That just doesn't work out well. I think Bobby Wagner just got cut or released, whatever you want to say. Tyler Lockett's probably going to be gone. Russell Wilson just got traded. You could probably see Everett move. You could probably see A couple of players on that defensive line move. I think Puna will stick around. I think there's other players on that roster that are going to move as well. And I think they're going fully into a rebuild, which is exactly the right move. And you look at the Russell Wilson trade, and that's a perfect start. They got some young talent.
They got a lot of picks
Noah
back
Fant.
too.
They got Shelby Harris. They got Shelby Harris, which is a good sort of stabilizer on the interior of their defensive line. Noah Fant is a good, talented young player. And, oh my God, Drew Lock is going to be probably their bridge guy at quarterback if they don't take a quarterback this year. Even if they do, honestly, he's probably going to be their guy that the rookie sits behind for a while. And that's really good. And then on top of that, obviously the picks. How can you go into a rebuild better than 2 extra first rounders and 2 extra second rounders?
And they got a good amount other than those 4 picks as well. Then they got a couple mid-round picks as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks are in a really good position to start a full rebuild, and I think it's a really good move.
And I guess getting back now towards the draft of things here, Akeem Ekwonu tested so well at the combine that I'm sadly have to probably kiss my dreams goodbye of him being a Giant. How do you see the top 4 picks probably playing out right now? It's still obviously big time in flux, but I don't know. Give me what you think could be something that happens there.
I think it's... I'm fighting a sneeze real hard. 1 second. Okay, anyway. I think it's interesting because this is a year where the number 1 pick should be getting moved. The Jaguars are in a position where it makes a lot of sense to move off the number 1, but I'm also not sure there's going to be a market for it, which is really fascinating because the Jaguars are in a tough spot. They're in a position where they absolutely should be getting phone calls from someone who wants to move up and take a quarterback. And there are going to be teams that want to take a quarterback, but there's no one up there that's worth going up to number 1 for. And then the teams behind them at 2 through 5 are probably not taking quarterbacks. So there's no reason for a team to pick up the phone and call Jacksonville for a quarterback. The only real thing you see is maybe you're calling for Hutchinson, which, and most teams aren't really willing to trade up for a tackle when there are some good options behind them, and no one's really.
And now the
sure
Jaguars,
who OT1
because they tagged Cam Robinson, it just leans towards they're not going to take a tackle.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that I'd say that they definitely could still take a left tackle and convert him to right tackle, or just shift Robinson over. I'm not a huge Cam Robinson guy anyway, but whatever. I'm not a Jaguars
I agree with
fan,
that.
so they probably have more
I agree with
context.
that. It doesn't rule out them taking it. I'm just saying it would make sense for them to take take Aiden Hutchinson at this point.
So
I've seen somebody say take Ekwonu at number 1 and then moving in a guard, and I'm like, you're not drafting a guard first overall, bro.
The value isn't great, but also it's not the worst thing they could do. I'll say this. I think the Jaguars are the biggest question mark at the top of this draft because everything else is kind of just going to be whoever these teams like the best. But whoever the Jaguars take at 1 is going to shape the rest of the way this top 5 plays out. And the way that top 5 plays out, it's going to be very important for trades with other teams that are looking up to grab that one player they're in love with, maybe a team that wants a quarterback, because I think the market for quarterbacks really starts at 6 and back. Maybe 5 and back if you're talking about someone wanting to trade up with the Giants to jump Carolina. So I'll say this. If you're looking at the quarterbacks in this class and you're trying to gauge where a trade's going to happen, I don't think it's going to be at the top of the board. I think you're looking at people moving around the Panthers and trying to shift around therein because there's going to be teams that like specific guys in the class. There's going to be teams that have different specific needs at the quarterback position. There's going to be teams that have different offers and things that line up differently between the teams that are trying to make a deal. So I think looking at that 6 overall pick, that's where the magic's going to happen this year. So I've said for a while, I think the Panthers are taking quarterback, which is a terrible move, and it's painful for me to watch another franchise do that, but Matt Rule's going to want to keep his job, and the best way for Matt Rule to keep his job is to draft a quarterback. So I think that's going to be the move there, and then it's going to be a question of what team is going to try and jump them to number 5 for the Giants. I've already seen people saying how this is going to help us because Seattle might want to trade up. There could be maybe a team like the Steelers, maybe another team that wants a quarterback.
I'm with you with both of the teams you listed. Both Seattle and the Steelers, I think, could be legitimate guys that call the Giants.
And you say that and you think, okay, what are the other teams in the zip code of that 5 and 6 overall pick? And how is that going to sort of impact the market? You could see a market for the 7th overall pick because maybe a team gets word that, I don't know, maybe a team gets a sniff that the Panthers are in love with Kenny Pickett. And they say, great, he's not our guy anyway. So we'll trade up to the Giants at 7, and we'll let the Panthers draft Kenny Pickett, and then we'll take Malik Willis or whoever they like at 7. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shapes up. Now, the flip side of this, for the Giants anyway, is depending on the number 1 overall pick, depending on where the Jaguars go, it might not be better for us to trade out of 5. Because it's very possible at this point, with the top 5 being so fluid, with the top of this draft being so difficult to project. There's not a number 1 pick that we know. There's not a number 2 pick, 3 pick, 4 pick that we can even have a guess at this point, because it could go any which way. With that being so unsolid, with that being so fluid, the Giants could end up seeing some really, really, really good players fall to 5, and that might be difficult to pass up on in a trade. So let's take the example. It looks very possible that Kayvon Thibodeau could slip to 5. I wouldn't say likely just yet, but it looks very possible. It looks at the moment like it could be a legitimate scenario that plays out for the New York Giants. So at that point, you're saying, how do the Giants feel about him? Do we think that they see him as that generational pass rusher? Because I'll tell you this, if they really love Kayvon Thibodeau and they see his skill set and they say, that's our guy, that's 15 sacks, that's our dude, that's what this team has been missing, they're not going to trade out. They're going to take him. They're going to say, hey, listen, Seattle, I know you want your quarterback. Sorry, we can't help. Hang up. That's going to be what it is. So the question is, who do the Jaguars take? How do the edge rushers work out? How do the offensive tackles work out? And I think, based on what Shane has said, offensive line is probably going to be less of a motivator for them to stick at 5 and 7, because it does sound like he thinks they're confident in their ability to find other linemen than the premium cream of the crop guys. But at the same time, it is very possible that they say, hey, look at this. Ike Mekwonu just went 1. Evan Neal is slipping. Are we sure we want to trade out here?
Mm-hmm.
So I think in that scenario, there's a lot of variables here. It's really difficult to predict. It's a very interesting offseason, and free agency could also play a big impact. But I am talking way too much. This is not my show. So give me a response. Give me some thoughts here, Coach.
All right, so first off, shout out to Tana in here. What up, bro? How you doing? Making his return to YouTube.
Hey,
you won't
what's
believe,
up, Chris?
because Nate has been on a couple streams with me in the past couple weeks. How many times people came in this stream saying, "Where's Tana?"
Everyone's searching for you, Chris. Where are you? Where you been?
I'm just like, hey, bro, maybe he's taking a break. He's taking breaks before on YouTube, guys. Like, let's calm
really
down.
Do put pressure on YouTubers. Like people think Chris owes them videos. Like, come on, guys.
Exactly. So in terms of a response to this, I agree with you. I mean, well, first of all, not that they should be thinking it. I mean, come on, bro. They have to be thinking that if Kayvon is there, that's the pick. I would be very surprised if he's not. In terms of what you were saying, with the first overall pick kind of dictating the rest of the draft, that goes without saying as well. I'm pretty sure if they still go tackle, I could see a world where Kayvon literally does drop to us. Like I could see a world where Kayvon really does drop to us if the Jaguars go with tackle. If they go with defense, I don't necessarily see a world where there's one of those top 2 tackles there, but I think that's a spot where I would be more willing to trade down from 5, like you were saying, because a guy like Kayvon probably won't be there. And I'm still on the Charles Cross train in the sense that I would still take him at 5 or 7. I'm not sure exactly why so many people don't really like the guy anymore, which is kind of a crazy turnaround. And then in 5 and 7 in general, the things I've been looking at, because I've really shifted from my position of saying we must get our tackle and we must get an edge, to being a lot more loose with it, to it being, hey, I'm good with a tackle and edge, but I'm also good with a tackle and cornerback. Like I really would love if we have Sauce Gardner on this team. That's a guy, even if we take at 5, which would you say that's a reach? I would probably prefer to take him at 7 than 5, but I wouldn't be like, I'd be perfectly fine if we got him at 5.
It's a little bit of a reach, but let's be honest, when you're talking about corners, it's never a terrible value.
Mm-hmm. And then so I would be happy with offensive line, corner, offensive line, linebacker, offensive line, edge. I'm still on the fence, and you're definitely not gonna like it. But I'm still definitely on the fence with taking Kyle Hamilton. I'm just not a believer that he's gonna be more than a safety at the NFL level. Like I'm gonna have to see how he does it at the NFL level, because the only person that's more than their position right now playing the NFL, in my opinion, is a linebacker named Micah Parsons. I haven't really seen anybody else do it to that extent.
Let me say this. I don't think there's a safety in the NFL like Kyle Hamilton. I don't think one is there.
You think he's the
Maybe.
first ever of his kind?
No, not the first ever, but I don't think there's another one actively in the NFL right now. Maybe Derwin James. Maybe.
So since you said
But he's
not
not
the first
healthy.
ever, who was that person in the past?
Troy Polamalu. Ed Reed at his prime.
Those guys, well, Troy specifically was a big hitter.
Yeah.
And you'd say Kyle Hamilton is a big hitter like Troy Polamalu?
No, but his skill set's also different. You're just saying more than the position.
Yeah, more than the
I
position.
think Kyle
yeah.
Hamilton can also be very much worth more than his position. Sure.
Like I said, I was going to take convincing, but I'm definitely willing to go linebacker, corner, edge, because those are like three super important positions to have on your defense. And then, of course,
I
to trade
agree.
down as well.
I'll say this. I think when you look at Sauce Gardner, he is an out-the-box solid cover corner. Even if he never ends up being elite, which is very possible he could, the one thing you know is he's not going to bust. He is, I wouldn't say bust-proof because no player is bust-proof, but he is really, really, really confidently a good pick. If you're taking Sauce Gardner, Joe Shane says he wants guys he can sleep well at night drafting. That's a guy who can sleep well at night drafting. And you look at Wink Martindale, that's a guy that he'd love to have. So the Sauce Gardner, it's definitely a fit. It makes a lot of sense. I would in no world rule him out for the Giants. At the same time, though, you've heard my take. You know how I feel about corner. I don't really want to spend that high a pick on corner this year. It's not the route I'd go. But at the same time, I wouldn't be upset.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're a person that is so dug in on an opinion that you can manage to be upset at having Sauce Gardner on your team, you got problems. You know what I mean? That's the kind of person that doesn't want Daniel Jones to succeed so they can be right about Daniel Jones. You know what I mean?
And this is what I'll say with the Sauce Gardner thing. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, I could see us taking Sauce, trading down, and getting somebody like Tyler, because I believe Tyler would beat her in a trade down situation. And I'd be really happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tyler Linderbaum is so fantastically good. People are going to underestimate him. I mean, every year centers go undervalued. Every year. I mean, we remember the hype around Creed Humphrey. We remember how great he was as a prospect, and he still slipped to round 2. You know, the Chiefs still managed to draft him in the second round, and out the box, he was exactly what we knew he'd be. Tyler Linderbaum might be a better prospect than he is, and he's still going to probably go way lower than he should. I mean, I can see him going late first round. I'd say that. Like, it shouldn't happen, but inevitably it will. Inevitably, no one's going to value the center position highly because they just don't think it's that valuable. Unfortunately, Tyler Linderbaum is a really, really, really good player. He's just priced too low for our 5 and 7 pick, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I think I agree that just about everything's in play. Like I said, a lot of variables. Lot of variables.
And the one last thing I want to ask you about before I do finally end it here at around the 150 mark or 150 and change is a guy that didn't look himself at the combine, and in a situation where we don't get an edge in the first round, I would really like to probably take a chance on him. Myjai Sanders, you know, what do you think, or what have you read up on potentially what happened to him with the, losing 20 pounds in under a month and stuff like that, and just not looking at himself?
Yeah, I heard why. It's because for the last 2 weeks, he's been really, really sick. Like really, really sick, as in can't keep food down.
Like, what illness even causes that?
How the hell should I know? He can't keep food down, apparently, and that's going to take weight off you. I mean, when you're looking at these guys, combine preparation is intense. These guys, the entire goal going into combine season is not, I want to make myself a better football player. The goal is, I want to be the best possible athlete my body will allow me to be. That involves pushing yourself to near breaking point. And if you're doing that kind of work and you can't digest food, you're going to lose weight. I mean, 20 pounds is still a lot. It's certainly an issue, but I don't think it's going to be a long-term problem, especially since he has his pro day. Mm-hmm. And he's going to show up at his pro day, and he's going to be much better off. He'll be healthier. He'll be back up at a reasonable weight. He'll probably put on about 10 pounds in between now and then. And I think he's going to show up at his pro day, and a lot of those questions are going to get answered. But as for the combine, I mean, what can you expect realistically? If you're that sick and you can't keep down food, you can't expect the guy to show up and be himself. It's just not realistic.
All I could hope is that once again, in a situation where we don't get an edge in the first, I would really like to take him in the second, because I'm not that big of a fan of Drake Jackson. I still have to look at him a bit more.
No, don't even say his name.
I'm a
God.
really big fan of Myjai Sanders. I guess just all the players out of Cincinnati, because you guys know I like Jerome Ford from my mock draft where I
You
had us
do,
taking him in
yeah.
around the 5th and 6th round. And I also like Kobe Bryant, the second cornerback that plays across from Sauce there somewhere. I believe he's somebody that could be a good cornerback in the NFL. You take him in like also around the 4th round.
You didn't even mention my favorite Cincinnati prospect.
Do not say the next quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, Desmond Ritter.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
God, no. Hell no. My favorite prospect out of Cincinnati, not the best prospect because that's Sauce Gardner, but my favorite prospect out of Cincinnati is Alec Pierce. I think his value with his talent and with his ability is insane.
Mm-hmm.
I would dare say that he is the best value pick at receiver right now. With where his draft stock is, I think you're not going to find better value on a receiver in this draft. I haven't seen him mocked higher than like the 3rd. And he is so talented. He's big. He's fast. He plays big. He's not one of those tall guys that disappears in high point situations. He knows how to high point the football. He runs really good routes for his size. He's got good deep speed. This is a really good player that is slipping through the cracks because there's a lot of names in this receiver class. This receiver class, it may not have a Jamar Chase in it. It may not have a surefire wide receiver one, the guy we say, okay, it's him and everybody else, but it does have a lot of names.
It kind of reminds me of 2019 in the sense of having a lot of names.
Kind of, but it's going to push some people down. And one of those people is Alec Pierce, and he is still going to be a very, very good receiver. So I think you look at him and you see, okay, what's he going to do for a franchise? He's going to be that Z and or X receiver, depending on how you want to slot him in your offense, and he's going to be productive. He's going to be an easy throw machine for quarterbacks. So I think he's a really, really good value. And no, Chris, he's not the next Cup. They're different prospects. Cup, not nearly as athletic, very different play style, but Pierce is in that same vein of a very high value guy, yeah.
Hey, man, and then listen, man, I'm going to end it right here. Unless you got any other prospect or question that you want to talk about, I'm going to just go ahead and end it right here. Guys, thank you for tuning in, staying with me to the 156 mark. Shout out to Tana for tuning in. We got Wolves in here, Eric oh my God, I've been saying champion all night. It's actually Campion. Jermaine, along with TVN, and Graven was in here earlier as well. Just everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the continued support. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Young Guns is on my channel. And of course, I'll have another daily fit out on Nate. Thank you for calling in as well, bro. And we out.